I'm going to show you today the simplest loop that you can put in a macro, and then my favourite loop to go into a macro. So the first one is called for next loop, and it's kind of a strange use of words, I suppose. In my head, I think that what it kind of means is that for the following loop, we're going to take the values between y and z, and we're going to give them to a variable called x. So the format of the line or the text is for x equals y to z, and I'll show you that in a second. What we'll do on this loop is we're just going to put some values into the C column here. The thing with the loop, well, I'll show you. I'm going to go to the Visual Basic Editor now. It's not open. Okay, I'm going to write my macro just here underneath the last one. So let's go. Okay, so I'm going to set some variables to start with. I'll put my tab in, and you can use any text for a variable as long as it's just one word. So I've set my variables, and I'm going to use that in the loop, and this is the first line of the loop. I'm actually going to make a deliberate error here just to show you something. Notice that I didn't put a capital L in that variable name first line. Okay, can you see that because Excel doesn't mind, or the Visual Basic Editor doesn't mind whether you use capitals or not in your variable names, and since the last time I wrote out that variable name I didn't use a capital L, it's gone back and it's changed this use of the variable name here, so this no longer has an L either. If I change this back to a capital L, you'll see they both change. I'm going to do both at the same time. As I step out of the line, it'll compile, and it changes back these to capital L's. That's just a funny thing. Anyway, and what I like to do with my loops is I always put the first and the last line in to start with, because otherwise I forget to put the last line in. So I'll put that in here, and it's just next x. And what it's saying is, this is starting the loop here, and it's saying for x equals this value to this value. When it gets to here it says, right, go and take the next value x and go through the loop again. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, right, if cells x down and 3 across dot value equals blank, then cells x down 3 across dot value equals cells x down 1 across, which is the first column, value, and cells x down and 2 across dot value. What I've used here is this ampersand sign, which concatenates those two values together. Now what this will do is it'll go round and round around this loop. It'll go around 5 times, x will have the value 4, it'll go through, then it'll have a value 5, and it'll go through, etc. until it gets to 8. So it's quite a rigid loop, which is good because it means it's less buggy. But you can also, this value of 4 and value of 8 could have been a result of a calculation earlier in the macro, so in fact it's more flexible than it might look in the example we're using here. Anyway, I'm going to run the macro now. What I'll do is I'll create a button for it again, which I like to do. I'm pressing Alt. And I'll change the name on it. Okay, and we'll see if it works. Excellent. So you can see that it's gone through these values here, or it's gone through these cells here, which is defined by using the cells x3 value, and punched in a concatenation of the previous two columns. For the next macro, I'm going to put some values down in this column here, and I'm going to use a different loop, which is the for each next loop. This is the one I probably use most in my macros, and it's very easy to use, and it's quite powerful. Right, let's go into the VBA. Right, a new macro again, so I'll call it now. What this loop does is it takes an object, so instead of taking just a pure variable which was capable of holding a number as we did in the last loop, this time we're going to have an object, and we're going to make Excel think of an object and then run the loop, and it's going to think of the next object and run the loop again until it gets to the end. So we've got to have a group of objects where it's going to select from and select a new one each time. I think almost always the group of objects that I've used to run this loop has been a group of cells, but you could do it for other things as well. You could do it for sheets, for instance, but I'm just going to show it for cells now, and you may never use it for anything else. Okay, so first of all we need to define the collection, and the easy way to do that is just to define it in the macro, but you could use a named range which you'd already defined in your spreadsheet. So for each, and this is the variable name we're going to be using, and I'm going to call it x cell in range, and we're going to be doing D4 to D8 dot. Now that's it, in range. Okay. All I've done here is forget the second quotation mark, so it should compile okay now, and it has. And as before, I like to put the last line of the loop to make sure I don't forget to do that. So it's next x cell. Of course that won't work. There we go. And we're going to indent all the lines in between those two rows to know, so we can look at it and see easily that that's the lines that are in the loop. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first check to see if that cell is clear, and if it is, I'm going to put something in it. So okay, let's see if that compiles, which it does. Okay, so let's see if this macro runs. Insert a button, hold down Alt, give the button a name. Let's see if it'll run. Excellent. Okay, so what it's done, of course, as you probably guessed, is it's taken this value here and concatenated on the end this value here. I mean, there's no reason for this, it's just to show you how the loop works. But that's how the for each next macro works. What you'll be able to do with it, and particularly if you're working with data, you can go through a list exactly like this and manipulate it in the way you want. It's really quite useful. But anyway, that's up to you to use your imagination for.